Hello from Washington State. My story is another horror story of blatant, lawless, totally unconstitutional abuse masquerading as a legal process at the anti-family courts in this state, specifically the King County Superior Court, even though the list of culprits is much longer. The instructions for these videos is that they point at most 3 major violations. I would need probably 30 minutes just to list all the lawless abuse by the state courts, including appellate courts, by the state agencies, the uselessness and the joke that is the Commission of Judicial Conduct of the state of Washington, which I contacted multiple times, documenting these abuses, agencies in charge of licensing these common crooks, fraudsters, and criminals who masquerade as experts on behalf of the state and the corrupt anti-family courts, the guardian ad litem, DV evaluators, and such. There's no accountability in that system. It's literally a joint criminal enterprise. In the interest of restrictions on 3 worst abuses at most, let me list them approximately in chronological order. So the custody matter was reopened over my minor daughter. Once abusive for years, mentally unstable ex-wife was caught on camera physically assaulting me in front of the common child. Fortunately, the kid doesn't remember because she was only 2 years of age when the incident happened. What followed was the trial was delayed due to COVID. Once it took place in 2021 at the anti-family court in Seattle, King County. This was literally a neo-Stalinist farce of a trial. No due process, no rules of evidence, blatant perjuries, and those committing perjuries being protected by the corrupt judge. I wasn't allowed to cross-examine guardian ad litem. I was exposing conflict of interest and collusion between the guardian ad litem and the DV evaluator. The guardian ad litem, that crook's name is William Singer. He's in business of domestic violence assessments and evaluation. And the DV evaluator of abusive ex-wife, who basically said that I was the abuser and zero evidence, and that ex-wife was my victim, had her practice in DV assessment down the street at the time in Bellevue, Washington, from the guardian ad litem. I learned this from the guardian ad litem, who subsequently denied that he even knew who the DV evaluator was. Glaringly obvious lie, one of many. The judge, Dishonorable Sean O'Donnell of King County Superior Court, disallowed, per blatant violation of the 6th Amendment, cross-examination of guardian ad litem, Singer. He also kept interrupting and cut short my cross-examination, very limited cross-examination of DV evaluator once I exposed her for lying under oath. And then, of course, in his ruling, he found her credible. Likewise, Dishonorable O'Donnell kept interrupting my cross-examination of ex-wife, who is a petty pathological liar, and not even a skilled liar at that. But to protect her, and to protect the whole joint criminal enterprise, the judge kept restricting and interrupting my cross-examination. I was pro se, couldn't afford the attorney anymore. That farce was subsequently raised in the State Court of Appeals Division 1 and at the State Supreme Court. The grounds on which my appeals were denied, really ignored, are Art of Kurt Vonnegut's stories. They're complete nonsense. They're an insult to my or anybody's intelligence. In addition to further violation of my protected rights, state appellate courts, Court of Appeals Division 1, and the State Supreme Court also blatantly violated federally protected ADA rights. I'm legally disabled. Years of abuse at hands of ex-wife in the state of Washington resulted eventually in my professional career being destroyed, my health being severely damaged. On the top of all that, and on top of the lawless abuse by both trial courts and state appellate courts, the racketeering mafia that is the so-called Division of Child Support has been terrorizing me over this fraudulent debt. It has nothing to do with benefiting children. Ex-wife has a very wealthy family, the most expensive attorneys, separate trial and appellate attorneys. I've been pro se. I've been forced out of my below federal poverty level income, out of my unemployment checks, and most recently out of my disability, to basically finance her pedicures and manicures, which masquerade as child support, so that the state can defraud the federal government and the American taxpayer through the Title 4D and get the Title 4D money. I've raised all these things. They've been ignored. In King County, in Spokane County, Court of Appeals Division 1, Court of Appeals Division 3, the abuse is ongoing. They don't even care. The racketeering mafia that is the so-called Division of Child Support doesn't even care that I'm disabled. And I offered evidence of that. So I'm financing pedicures and manicures of my abuser of the 10 past year, the ex-wife. My daughter is increasingly refusing to talk to me over the video. I'm literally witnessing parental alienation of my only child, and the state abuse is continuing. I demand an investigation. The corruption in this state goes all the way up to and including the state Supreme Court. I've had multiple matters before the state Supreme Court. The grounds on which I've been denied review on merits are, again, out of Kurt Vonnegut's novels. They're nonsense. They're an insult to anybody's intelligence. I demand a federal investigation. The state is corrupt as hell. It's never going to investigate itself. It's a de facto one-party dictatorship, and activists of one and the same party are the judges, are on the Commission of Judicial Conduct, are on other agencies and bodies who are supposedly supervising or overseeing family courts, guardian ad litems, Division of Child Support. It's all a joke. I demand federal investigation. Too many lives have been destroyed. Another father here in Spokane, Washington, committed suicide recently because he couldn't take any longer the abuse by the anti-family courts and not being allowed to see his kids. In his case, too many lives have been destroyed. The federal government must step in. The FBI and the Department of Justice must get involved. America is self-destructing through these kangaroo family courts and the whole broader nexus of corruption, destruction of families, targeting good, loving, protecting parents, and destroying children and parents alike in the process. My name is Predag Tosic, and I demand a federal investigation. Thank you.